We've got the link for the chat. Right, Tony, do you want to do an intro, and then I'll do one after you?
No, you do it.
You do the intro. No. Someone doesn't like me drinking chocolate milk, so oh well, guys, just whoops, couldn't find any Doritos.
I'm glad it's soya. Well done.
Yeah, well, we're having curry cat tonight, or kitten. I don't know. Why have you got that name?
It was pretty easy. It was I couldn't find a name. You know, back on the internet, way back when you might have first got into it, like years ago, and something like Hotmail, but not Hotmail, and it said create a username, and I was like, oh, I've got my modem,
AOL,
33K, and
I saw AOL or BT Connect.
Something. Anyway, I put my name in as Wayne. It's like, this name's not available. I was like, what? How many people are there here? So I looked around the room looking for inspiration. Eventually I saw my cats, which were called Korma and Madras. I tried putting those names in, and they were taken. And eventually I came up with Curry Kitten as a weird, just literally looking around my room trying to put two words together which might not have been taken. And that's it. Because as soon as you have a name and you've used it more than once, you have to stick with it. So that is the slightly bizarre reason for Curry Kitten.
Okay, on that note, you're listening to Let's Drone Out. And tonight we're joined by Curry Kitten, who's a UK reviewer, and also joined by the classic people, NJ.
Hello.
Tony.
Bonjour.
He says that a lot. I don't know why.
Can you hear me tonight, everyone? Please comment.
I will give the link of the chat in a sec. But yeah, I thought I'd invite you on because videos. When I first got into the RC world, you were one of the people who first come up, and you've got like little insightful bits of information, and I just really the channel, and I'm still subscribed. And you came up the other day with you know, your flying wing pass bys and stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, I must get you on. I think people will like you.
But that's very rare. People that meet me generally don't like me. So I can put on my phone for the videos. Oh, I'm really grumpy and I don't get on with people.
I know,
but I
like
try and make myself look friendly. Most of the time. Did you start watching them? Because when I was started doing it, it was literally my journey, which wasn't very insightful. It was just me crashing my Tricopter over and over and over again, and taking home bags of bits and going to B&Q every night to get new legs and stuff.
That's why I found you, because you were a fellow Tricopter enthusiast, and that's what it was. I remember your 450 days and that, and you know the KK2 behind you from the Hobby King build as well.
Oh, that was fun. Yeah. No, the original KK board was lots of fun. I tried to, because when I meet up with new people now, and they're like, you know, oh, I don't know, this board's a bit dodgy. It's only an F3, and I was like, you know, yeah, you've got it tough. And now I sound like a really old man, don't I? It's like back in my day, we had to like use a screwdriver to change our PIDs when we had KK boards. None of this self-leveling nonsense.
Tony only never used self-leveling because he couldn't get it to work, so he had to like fly normally from the get-go.
Thanks, Jack.
Well, I'm just saying, I was letting everyone know. I was like, you fly Acro already? And he's like, yeah, I couldn't get the other thing to work.
It was like, I remember when they brought out the KK2 and they're like, we've got self-level mode, and it was like flying through treacle. You push the stick all the way forward, it's like this.
Well, we've got the maker of Clintfly in the chat, which was a guy who made his own code, and it was just the copter would maintain self-level. So in order to move, he added a delay, so it would move and then self-level and then move and then self-level. It was like one of those dodgy boats. So yeah, I reckon when we have Cleanfly on, and then get him to like give his code to Cleanflight so he can laugh.
Cool.
I know.
Good. Have you still got a Tricopter? Has everybody got Tricopters still? Because
I sold it.
Oh, because I flew mine the other day on
Right.
a kind of thing I'm doing. Will it still fly? Because I was interested to know. Because I'd always liked it. I like the way they were. They're not like a quad, are they? The way they sort of turn is more sort of a little bit like a plane. It's sort of very graceful turns when it's right. But I had
Yeah, and they're all.
They can actually turn a lot faster than a traditional quad, obviously, because you instead of having the RPM difference for changing, which is relatively quite slow, or torque differential, the just being able to angle the rear part of the tricopter means that they can actually whip round incredibly fast. But yeah, I agree. They have a completely different feel.
They are lovely, but I had real rose-tinted spectacles on about my one, a piece of crap back there, mostly because it's all components I bought in 2011, 2012, and I still got them. And I sort of, I cut it with a sort of a hand file on a piece of fiberglass and stuff. But that was horrible. It was flying like a dog. So I've still got. I want to go back and visit it again and put a proper flight controller on. I say proper.
What happened to David? What's his name? Whose surname's gone out? Wintercell. Yeah. So didn't he wrote some custom firmware for tricopters, right? Or he was working with a group of people that were.
Yeah, he's got a specific tricopter firmware.
Yeah.
Which runs on the sort of the normal Naze style boards.
Yeah, standard targets.
I've never used it, but
yeah, I'd be interesting to see how that performs.
I have. It's the other thing as well is they've got like a Hall effect sensor in the back of the servo, so you've got essentially wire, and it's very he gave way to things called things like tail tune and stuff like that, and very, very interesting. The custom script's called Luca, Lauka. We'll post the link in the chat.
Apparently, their tricopter's really good for nice, flowy filmography stuff.
I don't know whether because my one was tuned, I didn't get round to tuning mine, but it flew like a wing. It kind of squirrel a little bit.
Yeah, they get that little yaw thing. If it sort of upsets itself, especially back on the old KK2, you get this yaw waggle. So you're sort of going around like this. Sort of flies along.
I call it squirrely.
Yeah, I think that's a good word.
I think those, much like helicopter tail servos, they need to be a very, very quick servo with a very quick response time will kind of help a little bit with the oscillations on the tail. That's what I tend to find messing around with them. But yeah, they do kind of have that. They've got a very small tuning envelope in the yaw, and you can get that kind of D-term style flutter if you don't find that the sweet spot's quite tricky to nail.
Yeah. What I found is how
good
quickly.
For racing, then.
Sorry, say again.
Not good for racing, then.
It'd be good fun. I don't know if I could fit mine for a racing gate. It's like this big. It's got 11-inch props on it now. It makes this really good sound. Though. It's like.
I've got a Tricopter F1, David Winderstall Tricopter F1 board. If you want it, I've listed it on eBay. No one's bought it. If you want it, email me your address and I'll send it to you.
All right, that's cool. But mine should just work off one of my. I've got like an original Naze thing that should be fine because the ESCs in it won't support one shot even or anything. So.
Oh man, less of that talk. PWM.
We've got
that's where it was.
One of our viewers is saying that their quad is on your bed. Looks like it might be getting fixed. Is that right?
Yeah, it's over there. Well, no, the thing is, what happens is Diggy Dan gives me the quad, but not the quad project box. Chris has called us the C word again. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Someone should make it. Oh no, he is already a moderator. That's how you become a moderator in this chat. Oh man, yeah. Have I missed loads in the chat?
People saying hello.
Yeah, Clint, I have messaged you a link in the chat so you can fill us in what happened with the. Did you like your tops, Prony?
Who?
Did you like what I did there? like
Peroni,
your props, Peroni.
That's what I like to drink now and again.
Yeah.
Look, I'm wearing a top.
Yep, the Let's Drone Out tops have arrived.
Ooh.
NJ, we will get you one done. I'm really sorry about it.
Marvelous. Look forward
I
to
feel
it.
like I've overlooked you. What size shirt are you? And do you want it? Do you want it fitted like Tony said? I think Tony wants to look at
He's
your
got to have his
abs
guns
and
out,
your
hasn't
arms. You better start working out, son.
Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, small, medium, something like that.
he?
Okay.
You can't have small, mate. It's got to be.
Yeah, he wants to get the guns out, boy.
Bloody hell.
I said, do you want me to get it like a wife beater printed for you instead?
What pizza? What the? Oh right, yeah, the actual cut-out sleeves and. Can you get an LDO string vest? Is that a thing?
Totally.
Just
It'll
get
be-
the regular T-shirt and rip the sleeves off. That's
Yeah,
the right way.
There is a
That would
couple
be
of
the right way.
t-shirts with holes in the back if you want some of them. You know what I mean?
You could sew one of them up now. Anyway, yeah, that brings me on to hang on, wait.
I think you can put the. I think they're going to be like 20 quid each. These LDO t-shirts. So if you fancy them, let us know in the chat or email us, please.
Right, so we have a medium-sized shirt like the one that Tony's wearing. Tony, please show us your nipples. In for a chance of winning this. And all you've got to do is there's two different ways you can enter. One, over 18. I would like a sort of Photoshop. If you've got good Photoshop skills, or you're a good drawer, or you're very creative, I would like a picture that I can have on my desk of Tony. Your envision of Tony naked. Don't try and jazz him up. I want it honest, raw. So that I can kind of
nothing to do with this. I have no idea what he's talking about.
it as some sort of Tony deterrent, so I can like lick it and like kiss it and put lipstick on and be like, Goodbye Horses playing and stuff. So I can kind of use it as a Tony repellent for my bench to get Tony away from me. Or if you're 18, some sort of Tony or like, Tony's like latent homosexuality that he denies towards me. You can attach that to a banner and maybe fly a plane or some sort of public display of annoyance for Tony. And if it makes me chuckle, you're in for a chance of winning. So this time next week, the winners will be announced, and you post it onto the Let's Drone Out Facebook page, which is, I guess, type in Let's Drone Out on Facebook.
So well done, Jack. All of this. You've really thought of this really well. And you've frozen. Or you're stuck.
Well, I don't know the Let's Drone Out email.
It's at gmail.com, I think.
I can't remember. Yeah. But yeah, just post it on there. And if you make me laugh, or you send me a good naked photo of Tony, you're in for a chance of winning.
Perhaps
Or
part
if you
of
don't
the
want to do that,
competition is actually
folks,
being able to get it to you.
they're
trying to
20
find a
quid
way.
each.
Yeah. Or
But
if you're
all I
stuck in
saw
Tony's
was
timeline.
You just start talking, and then NJ just rolls his eyes, and I was like, "Oh my god, he's saying something ridiculous."
Should I have like run it past you, NJ?
I'm not getting involved in this competition whatsoever. Actually, no, I'm happy to judge. I'm happy to judge the artwork, but I'm not setting the rules. It sounds like you've put some thought into this, Jack, so I'll leave that one with you.
Yeah, you do sound like a little bit of a robot.
I do.
Yeah, you've got some
Damn, I've been found
interference
out.
on your mic.
Anyone else getting that?
Yep.
It's like a crackle.
Uh-oh.
It sounds like something shorting out.
Okay, I'll try and fix it.
Okay. Yeah, Tony, do you not approve?
I really don't mind. You can do what you want. You know what I'm like. I don't care. They're great. They're great T-shirts. If you don't want to do any of that, you can just buy them for £20.
No, 15.
They're 20.
15. Prefer my price. I'm bootlegging Let's Go Out shirts.
They're 20, not 15.
I want people to actually buy them.
Look, you can either buy
We
them.
don't know how you can buy them, but email me Brighton till I fly if you really do want one, and I will figure out a way for you to pay us. At the moment, I'm taking orders. Don't just order one if you're not going to pay for it. It's committed.
How's my microphone now? Does that sound better?
That sounds better.
Hello.
NJ, thank you.
Whoa, NJ.
I've plugged my proper microphone in, my proper condenser mic. So there we go.
Oh my god, man! What the hell? It sounds like you should be doing like women's romance novels, for like audiobooks. Oh, where did this come from?
Oh god, what's happening now?
Just on milk.
Yeah. Please, someone take away the
Imagine it having a drink. Nightmare.
He was on about that the other day, and then I told him why I don't drink, and he's like, "Oh my god, never drink." Do you want to do the? I'm trying to go off topic as much as possible to annoy someone. Minutes for Tony, which is more like 4 minutes.
Not tonight.
Yeah, come on. So, Curry Kitten, as you're our guest tonight, I don't know how much you know about us or even care. Yeah, this flat. And he believes in aliens, ghosts. He reckons global warming's from the government spraying things with planes. They're
actually aqua spraying now.
Okay. He thinks the Queen's a lizard. So, it's your chance to ask Tony how he thinks the world. So feel free. I'll set a timer for 10 minutes and let Tony go
10 minutes
on a bit of a rant.
Too long. I think we should not do this anymore. This segment.
All right, 2 minutes. Just ask him a question, please, Curry Kitten.
Should be shut down.
Is Tony David Icke?
That's my best friend.
So I'm guessing.
Oh, Jack's gone.
Even
that's it. That's all.
Yeah, we've lost Jack massively.
Right, you've won a T-shirt. You made Jack laugh. T-shirt's coming to you.
I never thought. I knew it would be a bit of a train wreck getting Curry Kitten on. He's just like, what the hell have I signed up for? It's great. He's embracing it so much. It's just everything I ever dreamed of.
It's so weird because my other half of watching I watch FPV videos on YouTube. I also like the sort of skeptical community stuff. So the sort of stuff that Tony believes in is like, oh my god, we're trapped, and it's no good talking to him. Hi Tony, don't be offended. If you're anything like any of the people I've watched, you can show them all the evidence you can see, and it's like this is clearly not true, and you're delusional. Do you see that? No, but so there's no arguing with them, is there?
Not really.
He can just be in his happy little world and.
Oh please, just give us your best shot. Ask him anything, please.
All right.
I love the fuck. Go for it. Anything.
So, how can you tell someone's a lizard? What are the warning signs?
Eyeball.
Is it the eye thing?
In the sun and stuff.
The eyeball pulls. They're like cats. They're that way and not that way.
Yeah, I'd have noticed that surely.
You have to video them and slow it down really slowly. Look at NJ now. He's like, he found out that he is one. Look.
So when she's Elizabeth, right? So she affectionately gets referred to as Liz. Is that where the lizard thing is? There some connection there? That in fact,
good. You can join us anytime.
How many of you are there?
Tony, right? You know, like lizards, right, and humans, right? Humans don't have tails, so what do the lizards do with tails? Because, is she tucking like a reverse transvestite?
I have no idea what transvestites do.
Does she cut it off, or how do you get the lizard, or is it a mini normal lizard inside? You know, like the Men in Black little weird alien inside. Is it like a little mini lizard robot? Then what's the deal with the eyes? Lizards got cow vision, you know, like they're on the side of the head. How do they move their eyes to the front?
Let's ask people in the chat. I think this segment should be over now, and we should go back to talking about FPV and all things.
You've got 1 minute and 10 seconds. Come on, Tony. How do we get a lizard inside a person? Make it up.
See, when they're threatened, lizards can drop their tails. So maybe it's like that's what they do.
How are they threatened? They're in places of power.
See, I would have gone as well with like, surely if you want to hide your eyes, you just wear posh contact lenses. None of this like, oh, watch out, don't be filmed by any slow motion cameras sort of thing. That's a bit too much to think about.
No comment on any of this. Jack's enjoying himself. That's all I care about.
You and Carl Pilkington together would blow our minds. Oh, right.
Right, that's enough.
I'm done. I'm done.
We've had the fun of taking the piss out of everyone. Let's get back to business.
Yeah, no worries.
I've got a really neat link off the back of that now. We can go on to
just don't
something different. So apparently, Andrew actually linked this before we came on. So there is a drone flight that's been done underground in the London streets. So I'll just pop a link to that actually in the chat, so you can check that thing out. But it says, sit back and watch the mesmerising footage of a drone flying through the Crossrail tunnels under London. Footage courtesy of Crossrail, so they've actually got something probably like an Inspire or similar that they've flown down all the way down to the underground tunnels and in and around the network, which looks quite interesting. So yeah, no height restrictions on that when you're in negative numbers.
I know someone who's flown in the sewers.
Yeah, that was traumatizing.
Probably not the same. But yeah.
No. Wasn't there a car that was evading the police the other day, and he drove into a underground train railway tunnel and then got stuck?
Sounds a bit Italian job to me.
Yeah, I know. It is true though. But yeah, I don't know.
Has anyone?
Yeah, have you seen like
turtle mode?
Enjoy?
What's that?
Beta flight of doing turtle mode.
Turtle mode?
Oh, come on, guys. You must have heard of turtle mode.
I've heard of turtle mode. It's when you crash your quad upside down and the
the
accelerometer...
Apparently only works on D-shot, though. Not multi-shot, one-shot, or anything like that. You have to have D-shot enabled.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how that works out, because I can see that potentially frying some ESCs. They've got some very
out quite well. I've seen a couple of videos on it, and people crash and then flick a switch, so you reverse all your props. But basically, you could fly upside down if you wanted to. Flick a switch, crash, flick a switch, and then give it a flick on the throttle, and it will flip your quad back over, and then flick the switch back, and then you can fly off. And they're also using the motors as a buzzer. So you can put the motor buzzer on a switch as well.
Okay.
You can make the motors beep on a switch.
Yeah. I mean, you could obviously in BL Heli settings, you've been able to do that for a long time in terms of a set period, but that's quite interesting to put it on a switch. At certain strengths, again, with certain ESCs, that's actually potentially not a great idea. So yeah, I think, and it's the same with, it very much depends on the surface that you land on in terms of the turtle mode thing and being able to flip it back over. And again, on the wrong type of ESC, you could actually do some damage there. So I'd imagine that's going to be more with the newer generation of ESCs, especially moving forward with things like the BL32 ESCs that have very, very good and accurate kind of stuck prop detection and things that won't stop it trying to fire up and fry anything. So yeah, I watched that with great interest to see that become a thing.
I thought all the ESCs could be reversed.
Yeah, you can reverse all ESCs, but some of them, it's not about reversing it. It's about reversing it on the floor in grass or something where if you haven't got the other parameters of that set up right, the ESC will just fry itself trying to start that motor up in, it's trying to kick it in, startup power's kicking in, trying to turn the prop. And if that's not handled sensitively, you could just fry the ESC. So
yeah, it sounds like.
What do you think it's
anything
in D shot and not multi-shot or anything like that?
I don't think multi-shot would probably bother to write something like that now. I think everything's kind of moving forward with D shot now as the digital protocol, especially because you don't need to calibrate them anymore. And
our guest was speaking.
Sorry.
Please talk.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just about to say, yeah, it sounds like a good thing. Apart from, like, as Andrew said, if you land in anything but the perfect, you almost got to land upside down, like just teetering, perfectly balanced, so you can take off again. Because anything other than, like, flat stuff, you're going to get grass caught and stuff. Also, I don't know about you guys, but whenever I crash, and even if I flip, and it's like, oh, I'm the right way up, I'll take off again. Then I come into land, and I was like, where's my HD camera gone? And then I have to spend the next 2 hours like, where did I crash again? And walking around trying to find all the bits that actually came off and stuff.
That's a very good point.
I don't necessarily trust it. Like, I can take off again. I'm like, I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to walk over. Then I'm going to pick up all the little bits that came off. It's cool,
I mean, me and Curry Kid, like, I remember the days where you couldn't reverse prop direction with software, where you had to desolder 2 wires and swap them around.
Yeah, wasn't that fun?
And then I know you'd unsolder 2 of them and be like, oh, which order were they in again? You
can do it as well, because what you do, you'd set your quad up and you do all your soldering, and rather than, because if the motors have wires that are all like on a sort of flat thing and they all come out at one thing, you can kind of figure out, okay, it's going to run this way, but sometimes they just come in this bundle. So you'd take the opportunity and you would just wire them up and you see how it goes. And sometimes you can get every single motor the wrong direction, perfectly in the wrong direction. You have to change every single one back again. Massive pains. But yeah,
I've been there.
The new generations of making quads is so easy. I mean, do you guys even PID tune anymore? Or do you just like, yeah, it works? You just do some Super 8 tuning and that's it.
Yeah, I think that's very. It's certainly closer to the way things are going now. Baseflight needs a lot less, a lot less tuning from stock PIDs. Raceflight were arguably one of the first that came along and just straight out the box, it was excellent. So yeah, it's an absolutely valid point.
It's good as well because people stop writing on comments, can you share your PIDs? And then you don't have to go through this whole thing about, you don't want my PIDs because my PIDs aren't going to work for you necessarily. It's just like,
got different motors and a different quad and a different ESC and a different propeller.
And loads of solder blobs all over the place, which might make a difference.
So Betaflight are also doing different profiles. So I read on a chat, my mate told me about this, whereas you can have one highly tuned, so it's really great for when you're flying, and then if you crash, got bent props, you can put it onto another profile what sorts out yellow that you'll get, and then if you crash even worse, you can put it on another profile, all on a switch.
Well, that's interesting.
Has anyone done any of that yet?
Well, I used the normal profile things that we're talking about to do. I used to do it when I couldn't tune in the field. I used to go down and I'd like set profile 1 for this set of PIDs, profile 2 for this set of PIDs, see which one's better and come back again. But I've never ever thought of this is like, oh, the props are all bent profile, as opposed to, oh, maybe I should just change the props. But it's an interesting one.
Yeah, I think it's
like about that.
People using it for racing. So if they've crashed, they've got a really good tune, and if they crash and then know they've taken back off and bent props, they can switch profile where the gyro does less or whatever, or does more.
I think you just turn the sensitivity down of everything so that it'll feel a little bit less connected, but you'll be able to fly and without horrific oscillation.
Nice. Yeah, that's it.
I quite like that. That's not a bad idea. I'm going to write that down on my sticky note as a to-do list.
Take this down, Jack. I've done something good.
All right, ignore aliens and lizards. Write down profiles for crashing. I like that.
Thank you. I can go now.
You can go now. You're excused.
Yeah, I've written it down. Race light flies shit no matter what position the switch is in. There you go.
So, Carrie Kitten, what got you into the hobby?
Wasn't you a video gamer first, from what I remember?
Yes, I still am.
And then
my YouTube channel was about that because the YouTube channel got started by accident. We had a website called GameEndings.co.uk where we'd record a game ending because we were talking about it on like gaming forums. Like you spent like 40 hours playing some big RPG, you'd watch the ending and then you'd carry on and like, oh, nobody remembers the ending. So we thought, oh, we'd try capturing them and putting them on a website. And this was like about 1 year before YouTube came along. So all the endings looked terrible because we compressed them down to nothing so people could download them. And then we noticed people started uploading them onto YouTube. So I shoved my stuff onto YouTube. And it was YouTube that got me into sort of flying. Just, you know, when you're on YouTube and you click a link and a recommended one comes up. And before you know it, you're watching, you know, dogs dancing and stuff, and you're like, it's
or
not
lizards,
what I came for, or lizards,
queens.
You learn everything. So I caught one of David Winterstill's videos on his Tricopter stuff, and I'd been kind of interested in RC when I was a kid, and I mean, you guys are all a lot younger than me, but back in the day, back when I was a lad, when you
Tony is prehistoric.
Well, when you got your radio controlled car, it like used 6 like A batteries, those big ones, and like your mum and dad would only get you one set for Christmas, and so your entire radio controlled cars would be like 10 minutes, and that's it. Well, you know, birthday's coming up soon.
Tony's first batteries were clay pots.
The Iraqi battery, mine was.
Yeah.
So it was only because David's website had such good information. It's like, this is how you build a tricopter, literally start to start. These are the pieces you need. That's what you want to do. And like literally me with no idea what I'm doing and no radio control stuff could put it together. It's just like, you go to B&Q, you get these planks of wood. There's some place called Hobby King you buy some stuff from. I borrowed a radio. But yeah, the first flights I had were all awful. I was trying to reverse channels on the radio once, and I reversed a throttle, and the thing jumped up in the air and hit me in the head.
That's never good.
No, I'd like to say I've never done that since, but it's, you know, 2 or 3 times. It's been bad. They just progressed from there, really. So tricopters led to like the 450s because everybody had like a NASA quad at some point. And then it was Bruce on RC Model Reviews did that. He had a really big video about this is how you build an AXN. I just thought, well, I don't know anything about flying planes, but he telling me how to build it, so I'll do that. And that ended up in a tree after a day and crashed a lot. And it's just been going since. Everything and anything I can get hold of and stick a camera on it, I will do so for some bizarre reason.
It's the video game endings. You're like, I don't want to miss this. I spent all this time playing like and building, and you know, and then to finally get to the end of flying, I want to kind of relive it.
Yeah,
home with broken parts anyway.
Yeah, so the videos were coming up at the start from like I started doing like the tricopter thing. I couldn't find some parts. Like, where do you find a piece of carbon rod from? I literally had no idea. And I found a forum, and like a bunch of guys had built tricopters. I was like, yeah, I found it. So I was putting up a video every time I flew. I was like, okay, all this happened and went wrong today, and I crashed because of this. And they'd sort of give advice, and half the time it's like, give up. You're it's just doing awful. You're doing something fundamentally wrong. Go and see someone who knows how to fly, which kind of gets my back up because I like to just like, screw that, you know. I'll work it out for myself. And so yeah, the videos then grew from me doing that to weirdly people saying, "How did you do that?" I was like, "I don't know, just doing it." Because I speak with absolutely no authority that I know anything about anything. I just like, I'm bumbling my way through. Here's what I did. See how it works for you, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's what Jack does.
He's got it on a much better bumbling thing than me. He's completely faking it that he doesn't know what he's doing. Brilliantly.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, the day Tony did get enough on me because I needed Tony's help, and there's nothing worse and more humbling than asking Tony for help. I got my quad stuck in a tree. In order to get it down, I had a tripod stool, and I was throwing the tripod stool out, but we couldn't get the stool out. So then I had to ask Tony to help me get my stool out of the tree, in which Tony filmed the whole thing, and he wished that I never got into this hobby, really. I think more humbling
because of that. You know what? He called me down and said, "Can you bring your pole?" Right, I'm a glazing hygienist, and
window cleaner.
I've got some very big poles, and I normally rescue quads out of trees, and I've had some pretty high quad rescues where I've taken poles and rescued quads out of trees and poked them out of trees with my big pole. And I got a call from Jack. Can you rescue? I've got my. He got his quad down, but got his seat stuck in the blooming tree. And I went down and rescued his seat, which I could have actually paid. I would have rather PayPal'd him £3 for his seat than drive down there and poke it out of a tree. It was ridiculous. You know them cheap.
Why did Tom Smith get famous from? No, they're not. They're like £4. Why did Tom Smith get famous?
Because he
I don't know. Tom Smith got what from getting stuff down the trees? I know. It was a monumental screw up by me, and I paid dearly. I've never seen anything you post get that many comments about me. I was having a bad week. You know, we got screwed over by someone, a spotter, and I got my seat stuck in the tree.
Yeah, but who throws their quad seat into a tree?
Do you throw anything? I did the same when my plane got stuck in a tree. I found some short lengths of rope. And I thought, I can tie these together. And I was looking around trying to I found a spanner. So I was like, lassoing up. And all that happened is I had a plane stuck in a tree, 2 bits of rope with spanners hanging down like Christmas decorations. And it's just like, so I put a video out and people were commenting, fly your tricopter up to get the plane down. It's like, there's going to just be this pile of models all stuck in the tree, one trying to get the next one. And we're just, eventually the tree will will fall over from the weight of it all, and that would work. But yeah, eventually I got helping with a guy with a very big pole and a rope.
Yeah. NJ, what you been working on, man?
Not getting stuck in trees.
What am I working on? Has everyone frozen?
I love Frank. Frank put up a official bootleg LDO t-shirt sold by Let's Drone Out. £15 was 20.
Brilliant. Where's the link? Put it in the chat. Hold on.
Oh, man.
Let him have his issy fit.
Oh, mate, I'm sorry. Frank, that's fucking hilarious.
Can you put that in the live? Can you put that in the live chat? And yes, Curry Kitten, what are you working on? And then NJ, can you tell us what you're working on as well, please?
I am so far behind on mainly some fixed wing builds. I had this. I've got this one called the Mini Race Wing, which is interesting because it uses. I don't know if you've seen it. This is the center section of the wing. It's basically like
wow.
your quad frame type thing.
Is that carbon?
It's the F40 with the T motor.
Yeah, that's an F. What is it? Yeah, it's an F80, and
oh, sorry.
It's got these little things. So if you hit something, the wings fly off. Is the idea. So it's like the the wing you're not scared of crashing. That's nearly finished. And I had
Who's that made by?
Miniracewing.com.
Miniracewing.com. Okay.
Yeah, the two guys in Germany. I did a bunch of videos about it because they seem to be trying to do something a bit different, and I thought it was quite innovative. I think a few people have done this sort of centre sections before, but they had it on a Kickstarter, and their Kickstarter failed, and they eventually managed to bring it out. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I like the idea of it, and that's going to be like a speed build, as in a fast wing, because it should do like 100 and something on 4S, which I think would be fun. And I've got this massive 2.6 meter glider that I've been working on for yonks, because it's too big.
Didn't you have that out in the garden? And it was just like massive, and you've shown it before. You're having trouble with the servos at one point.
Can we see one wing?
It's in another room. I can get the bits of wing.
I'd like to see it.
All right, hang on. Please hold.
Yeah, Curry Kitten's an interesting guy, man. He just gets up to stuff. I might actually have a little look.
I want to see his big wing.
I should have. Do you know what? Do you know why I'm falling down tonight? I haven't looked back through his old videos, so I can't remember some of the questions that I have for him, and that's what I'm struggling with, because he's going. You know, he's doing the Skyhook iNav testing, so he's built like a little model out to see if everything's working for that. So he's working on iNav as well, which I need to ask him about. What else has he been up to? Range testing the Earsheen TX03. So FPV'd his dog. That's a good one for you, Tone, if you want to have a little look at that. When Junior gets better, you could FPV him.
This is why I don't keep it in this room. This is one wing. It's too big to get in shot.
Wow, that is quite big.
And the fuselage itself is huge, which is this thing.
Bloody hell.
Battery there, flight controller there, wings out here.
What is it called?
This is a Skyhook, it's called. Skyhook Discovery.
I look forward to seeing that fly.
Yeah, me and you both.
How long have you been working on that?
Well, I've had it for like a month, but it's kind of like, you know, other stuff sort of comes in and you're like, oh, that's a quad and that's quite quick to do, so I'll do that.
Yeah.
So I've got as far as mounting the motor. I've just got the servos going in because I had this whole thing about you've got these servo covers, and the servo covers hold the servos and then they screw on. And I thought, oh, that's a really good system. But there's nothing in the wing to actually get the self-tapping screws to bind. So I talked to the guy that designed it. He says, oh, no. We told the Chinese manufacturers not to put the little mounts in there, but they did it anyway. It's like, oh, right, so you just rip those out, do you, and then stick them in? Yeah. So, yeah, it's getting there. But it's
Don't put the what in?
You don't. There's these mounts in the servo covers where the servos actually mount on, but you don't do that. You just stick them down to the basically there's holes in the wing. Stick them in there.
And that's it. Going to be FPV, dear.
Yeah.
Jack just blew up.
Oh, the FPV stupidness mid-air disarming. 2. That was crazy.
I didn't actually disarm it myself. That was a Betaflight bug, but admittedly, it might be a bit silly to use stick arming if you're going to fly upside down and put the throttle right down, because you might say, oh, no, I'll do an inverted yaw spin. It's like, oh, no, that's the disarm command, isn't it? But that was, you'd never seen 30 seconds stretched out for so long, because I'm upside down. I was like, I'm just going to hang here because that's quite cool. And then you see the OSD, it just says disarmed. It's like, oh, that's not good. So you're like, arm, it's not arming. You're doing the stick movements. I was like, well, what can I do here? And then you're twigging halfway down. It's like, oh, yeah, it won't arm because it's 180 degrees up and it needs to be 20 degrees, at which point it hits the floor. And you're like, oh.
You had a lot to think about it. You must have been quite high.
I feel it's about 100 meters-ish, which is quite high in a quad, isn't it? You've got loads of time to do stuff upside down.
Yeah.
But I was very lucky in the fact that the quad was quite balanced. So it didn't tumble. It just sort of came down just like that. but it smashed up the little OLED screen in my. I had a Firefly Q6 on it, which had a little cool screen on it, and that smashed it up, which was a pain. But that's the only thing that broke. It literally came down. It kind of acted like its own windbreak. It was coming down like that, and it hit long grass, and that was the only thing. I couldn't believe that was the only thing that broke on it from that distance. Because meanwhile, of course, you just like you flip down and crash somewhere else, and the arm breaks. It's like, well, what's going on?
What's your favourite quad at the moment?
Oh, easy. It's this one, which I just happen to have here. It's the Aurora 100. Have you guys been flying these little micros?
NJ, take over.
Yeah, I've got the one I just put a video up today on it actually. Is the little Eachine Lizard.
Oh yeah, I saw.
Which I've been really just blown away with how you know, I've been throwing everything I can think of at it in terms of freestyle acro, and yeah, it just seems quite happy to do it. And it's that I mentioned it before. It's just the power to weight ratio on these is so great that you can be, and there's no weight and there's no inertia to it. You can be just diving at the ground, flatten out, and in a 5-inch quad, if you haven't got an absolute ton of thrust and very torquey motors to recover, you're gonna go straight into the ground. Whereas these guys just kind of level out, and you can, you know, it just means you can corner them like house flies. So yeah, I've been super impressed with this thing, having a lot of fun.
It's so good. Totally agree. It's the power to weight thing, isn't it? Because you can. I literally fly this around myself, and I was like, because I'm watching myself. I'm in the goggles, and I was like, I'll do a turn around myself, and it's literally I can just wrap it around my head without thinking about it, and it's made me think, like, you know, the 200 size quads. Why are they so slow? I've been trying to now, where I was quite happy with the way they flew before. Since flying this, I've been trying to tune the other quads to try and get that level of performance, because they've got extra inertia. You flip them into a turn, you've got all that extra stuff. So you need crazy power or crazy camera angle so you can have it over that much to just do it. So I've been experimenting with that. That's quite interesting as well, just to see sort of the way the different setups work. But
yeah, I think that is in very, very
hundreds.
Yeah,
Are
totally.
they both 2-inch quads or 3-inch?
This is 2. This guy, I think the 2-inch. I think that's the same for Curry Kitten, same kind of size.
I think these are 1900s, but it's essentially about 2-inch.
Yeah.
I've just got a build for Jack to do. I've got a Revo 3 with I've got all the kit for him to do, so I'm looking forward to that, because the 3-inch are looking quite competitive. I've seen quite a few videos of 3-inch flying racetracks and pretty much keeping up, if not sometimes beating the 5-inch quads.
Yeah, I've got a new one that's arrived yesterday actually. So, you know, I fly the Ready Eddie frames, which is the Beast X. That's my main 5-inch frame there. That guy. That's what I do all my acro stuff with. I've just been sent the new Baby Beast, which is, you can see the frame size difference.
Yeah.
So that's a little 3-inch, and I've got the new Cobra 1407 4100 kV motors for that. So that should be, and it's a stretch deck, so you can see there, it's a slightly different layout. But yeah, really excited to build that, because the last 3-inch I built, which is here, just so I happen to have it at hand, which was that little guy. That was great. Really, really impressed with that. And again, you know, I've raced this alongside 5-inch quads and did pretty well. Led for a couple of laps. You know, they really are great. So yeah, super high power setup like this, I think they're awesome.
Brother Hobby 1407s for mine.
Yeah, I've got a set of those here too. Actually, I've still got an Atto build to do, which has got those Brother Hobby motors. So that'll be a good one to compare against this with the Cobras. But yeah, I think the micros and the 3-inch, everything sub 3-inch at the minute is getting a lot of attention, which is great. Which is, you know, something I said before. If they ever do enforce this sub 250 gram rule, which I hope they don't, I feel less upset about it, knowing that these micros can fly so damn well.
They do fly really well. I've got a 2-inch Upton frame, Daniel Upton, and it flies. It's probably my best flying quad. It flies amazing, and these are just push on 2-inch props. You know, you just push them on the motor. They're brushless, but it flies fantastic. It's pretty quick. I wouldn't race it. You just get pushed out of the way. But for out on the street and flying around my house and stuff, it's great fun.
This yesterday I got this thing through as a review thing, which is a Monster 76mm, which is so far has been a bit of a dog, actually. What it is really bad what they shipped it with. Somehow this came out of the factory, and I had a look in Betaflight what it was set to, and it was set to ppm. And on the receiver, I noticed that was set to ppm. It was all soldered in already, and it would bind, but then I wouldn't get anything on the radio, and I had to open it up, and they'd soldered over the S-Bus jumpers, so they'd set it up for ppm everywhere, and then S-Bus on the receiver, so that didn't work. So I had to re-solder one of the wires, and then trying to take off for the first time to test it out, I then found out they'd put 3 props of the same rotation on instead of just 2. So that
chicken dance.
And then lastly, I found out the battery went into from fully charged, it went to 6.4 on takeoff. So there were a few problems with that one. So not all micro things are good. This one's not that good so far, but
yeah, I remember. I think Andy RC did a review on that one as well, and he came to the same conclusion as you did. And I think some of the other problem with that one was those are not particularly great props, are they? Those kind of, they don't look like they've been designed for the size. Rather, they're a larger prop.
They are a curious shape. I found this video because I wanted to double check. I was like, "This is crazy. They've soldered this up wrong." And then I was like, "Oh no, this is this is part of the course." But yeah, I saw he mentioned about the other props, and I did. I didn't FPV it yet. I just hovered it in the garden. I did a quick DVR recording just to double check that battery was sagging, which it was. And yeah, there was some jello on it, and it didn't look particularly good from probably the props point of view. But I haven't got any other props unless I start hacking down some of these ones. We'll try it out and see how it is. Different.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been flying 150s for years, man. What did I have? What, Jack? Are you still there? What did you build me where I come second place in a couple of years ago at the indoor?
ESC 210 or something? No, ESC 1 something 180.
Yeah, I cut the props with scissors and come second place.
Yeah, that was hilarious. But yeah, that was such a good quad. It was so well behaved.
It really was. It was a cool little thing.
It's a good laugh, man. Is it still work, that quad?
Yeah,
I think we sorted it, but we could upgrade it.
It probably needs another.
Yeah, I think we should upgrade that.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, stick a new flight controller.
That was 2 years ago we were flying that indoor.
Yeah. Flight controller with a receiver on it. Go.
That was a Red 5, that was fitted in there.
Yeah, they stopped supporting it now, Red 5s.
Ooh.
Yeah, you know, so yeah, F1 boards no longer a thing. How's your iNav going? How you're going to put it on or something?
Well, that's supposed to be going on a Skyhook. That's weird. That's like going sort of back to basics, because it's like, oh, it looks like Betaflight, but nothing feels like Betaflight. It's because the build I was doing it for is complicated by the fact that it needs this crow braking thing where the flaps go down and the ailerons go up at the same time to slow it down. Because the guy that gave me it says, if you don't have this, you'll come down to land and it'll go on for like a kilometre or something ridiculous because it's so efficient. So I've got it working, but iNav's really weird. I don't know if it's about the boards, because I've got an Omnibus F3 for this, because I thought it'll do the power distribution for me. I don't have to think about 5 volts. It'll have an OSD for me, so I can see, you know, how far I'm away and the direction home and the voltage and stuff. And it's got the normal PWM pins. But then you look at iNav and it says, okay, the first 2 PWM pins are always reserved for motors. But, you know, a few planes have more than one motor. and then you should be able to use an X6 for everything. I was like, not a problem. I'm going to have seven servos in there, but I can use the first 6. But no, I could only use 2 because of some bizarreness about if you use the S-Bus connector, then you can't get access to pins 3 and 4 unless you change that from that specific S-Bus connectors over to this other UART. So it's all really weird. I've never quite spent so much time in the CLI doing stuff as I have with iNav before.
Yeah.
But it's early days for it, I guess. At some point, it's going to be like maybe Betaflight, where you just like plug it in, you flash the latest version, you go off and fly. Maybe it'll be like that. I'll have some models you just drag down, say, I have this plane, whatever. But I don't know many people. Has anybody tried it on quads for doing stuff? And I guess it works better on like a bigger quads, doesn't it, for doing nav stuff? Oh, go on, tell us about it then.
Yeah. So I on a test electro hub, you know, with wooden arms, and it had like a what was it? Power distribution board center. You were able to screw it on. It was made of wood. We called it the Tricopter because it was just horrendously put together. I need a test platform for things. I should have never have sold it. And the ESCs were taped up rather than heat shrunk, like no even during the whole assembly of that pod. And it flew lovely. Went out for ages.
It flew longer than a DJI Phantom.
Connected.
And then, if it crashes, you can set fire to it and keep warm.
Yeah, that's it. What was it? A 5,000 milliamp hour battery or something?
Yeah. 5,
what was the size of that battery?
5,000 milliamp, and we've done over 28 minutes, I think.
It done half an hour of flight.
Yeah, it was great. It just kept going and kept going.
Yeah,
and it got so dark.
Flipped it, up all the gyros, flew it far away, like lost satellite connection by sitting under trees for too long, satellites, and oh man, anything you could do to it.
It was
really bad weather days.
Very, very slow at rolling, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was fine. And then I've kind of built this carbon fiber monster. Yeah,
have you got it to show? Have you got it there?
Yeah, and I've had nothing but problems.
Show the frame though, because you designed the frame and everything, though, didn't you?
Well, I mean, I did a crude drawing, and then Dan Upton like totally refined it.
Hold it up in the air so people can see.
What?
Have you got it there?
Oh, man, I'm not getting it. Oh, don't make me. Is it? Yeah, it's all the way over there.
It's too far away. It's humongous. No wonder it stayed up in the air so long. What size props did it have? Like 15-inch or something?
Seriously, it's 69 centimeters. You know,
so what size props was it spinning?
10, 9 really, but it can go to. It's meant to be on 10s, but yeah, like fair play to fair play to. I was chatting to Johnny, like wrote a riot me, or should I say the afterthought me. I was chatting to Dominic Clifton, and look at me name dropping. He was just like, I asked about the omnibuses, and he just goes different ports all over the place, and then just try and connect them up. Like there's very little thought. They try and like rush everything out. So if you have got some of the, like some of their like earlier revisions and that. Like the first Omnibus boards are really good. The seconds are the worst, and thirds are all right. You know, they're not kind of sorted to shoot things out. But like it's man, like for instance, like the second one, the LED shorts onto another pad because it's so close. So awful. That, you know, the Omnibus F4 with the power, you know, the monitoring system
the current
on it.
sensor.
Yeah, that one. It's horrendous.
Yeah, mine one broke. So
I'm not surprised.
I had one to review from Banggood, and it's like, oh, it doesn't work. Literally didn't work because the whole power distribution on the bottom of the board fell off and didn't work any longer, so I wouldn't actually get any power. So I managed to, I was like, oh, I'll put 5 volts in from my normal power distribution. I couldn't be bothered to wire up the sensor because it was going onto an existing quad. And then I found that one of the PWM ports wasn't working. But it was quite good because I got to use that, what was the command called? Resource command, to find out how to map a pin to another pin, which is something I didn't know about. So, you know, silver linings.
Hang on, let me just add Tony. Keep talking. I mean, for instance, did you ever multimeter test the you know, like, because you provide it with power and, you know, put a multimeter on the 5 volt that's generated on the board. You know, if it's slightly lower because there's a shit ton of diodes just doing nothing. They just kind of added them for fun. You know, like.
I don't know if the Omnibus is bad, or do you think the way it's going because they're cramming so much on the boards now? It's like everybody wants, like, oh, I want built-in ESCs and I want an OSD, and oh yeah, let's have the VTX on the board as well, and also the receiver. And it's like this poor thing is like trying to pull down so much power. Something gives to it.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I did a build series on a quad using the Betaflight F3, and although it just looks like it's going to be such a great idea with everything on one place, it was actually just an enormous mess of wires once you'd actually got everything onto it. And you sit there and you look at it and you think, well, actually, God, how are they going to keep this clean? There's going to be wires crossing all next to each other. I'd found it a miracle that there wasn't just a ton of noise in the video signal. I'm really surprised they managed to keep the video clean. And reasonably well filtered with so much going on, especially a damn great big current sensor on the board as well. So yeah, it's I've got to say, even though the all-in-ones are great, I still prefer that traditional stack approach. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, although I do like.
Thing goes wrong.
Sorry, I said I do like the OSD on the board. I used to use the little micro minim OSD with the MWSD firmware, which is really good, but it's such an odd shape. So at the end of, like, you've got your nice stack, yeah, and then you have to wire that thing up, and it's not ever pointing the right way, and you've got this sort of hanging off the board, which you sort of stick down there and heat shrink it over, and nothing's quite there.
Red hot as well, burns so hot. Yeah, like my passion for Tony.
I'd like to get connected again now, Google, please.
Yes. Tony, okay. Tony's gay for me. News just in. Yeah, the only thing is like the separate hardware. If anything goes wrong, you can just switch bits out.
Yeah.
You don't get any of that.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. The only thing I would say is, like Andy RC pointed out, and I've got to be in the same boat here with all the stuff that I've been sent to review. None of it's gone wrong, and I really want something to go wrong. 1/4 of the ESCs on that single board to go wrong, so I can just say, "Yep, that's why I'm going to stick single ESCs." But so far, everything's been fine.
Do you want me to send you some of my stuff? Because I had. I had the Fly Tower 390 that destroyed my relationship with GearBest, it would say, because they like, would you like to review this? And I was like, sure. And like, it's brilliant because, again, you just connect your motors up and it's like, we're ready to go. do the motor calibration. Okay, let's go move on. And then suddenly the board broke. And then so I emailed the guy from GearBest forever and sort of stalked him on Facebook, but he managed to avoid me. I tried emailing Fly Tower. It's like, can you help me try and work out what's going on here? Didn't get anything. So I had to come out with a video saying this doesn't work. Maybe yours does, but mine doesn't. It's crap. And then the Omnibus has gone wrong. This thing has got 3 props wrong and had to be resoldered. It's not going brilliantly in some ways, but other stuff works. So, yeah.
If you have ever had after-hours chat with Andy RC and ask him about some of the awful stuff that's been sent to him, who he doesn't know from, that is hilarious.
This is random stuff.
Yeah, honestly, he's like, I can't review this. This is awful, and ends up giving it to the charity shop, and the charity shops refuse to sell it. It's that bad. It's so bad. It make a child's life worse. Whatever charity you're trying to give it to. Oh, God, what did I in my? So, oh yeah, I was chatting to Dom Clifton. So he's got an F7 board. I don't know whether I'm supposed to be talking about it, but he showed us. And yeah, very interesting. So F7's the best that we're ever going to get. And he's crammed supports on it. And a little interesting thing that a 4-in-1 ESC or a separate power distribution board. So, like with the Betaflight board, you can't run all that current through just one of the little pads. He's now put a really big pad and smaller pads for all the run straight for the board, and everything's on top instead of on the bottom and on top, and so forth.
Ah.
It's all laid out quite nicely.
Sounds interesting.
So,
yeah, that is a bit of a
jumpers.
weakness with the Betaflight board. Is the worst offender for me is just the fact that you've got the ESC connections power wise on the underside, and it just makes it a real nightmare to wire. I had to kind of, when I actually put it together, I made the back 2 ESC power wires long enough so that I could actually kind of hinge the board up. If I needed to service the underside of it. There's all these things that you have to think about before you put one of those together. Yeah. Whereas I think there's got to be a fair few people that have just kind of maybe wired the whole thing, maybe flipped it over, wired it, flipped it back over, and then built everything, but then have an absolute nightmare task disassembling to service anything on the board. So there's all these little things you have to take into account, I guess, whereas obviously with the traditional one, it's just pop the top one off and work on the power stack if you want. And yeah, it's that's really interesting that he's thought about that, because yeah, the build side of it is really, really, really important. But it's such a small space, there's only physically so much you can cram onto the top side.
So we're talking about let me interrupt. We're talking about F7 boards and F3 and F4. Raceflight are running F4 boards. Betaflight decided to go to F3. Why is F7 going to be the best board or the end board? And why did Boris go F3 and not F4 or F7?
So F4 is the ports, is that right, NJ?
So yeah, but basically
an inverter issue.
Yeah, there's no if you look at what the F3s are doing in terms of look at how efficient the code is now. I mean, if we go back to some of the earlier versions of the code, you can see where the CPU level was sitting, and now it's right on the floor. The code's been so well optimized on an F3. The F4, there's just so much headroom for the math that's going on. It's just not needed. You don't need the F3s aren't they aren't a bottleneck in the system, if you like. So there's really at the minute there's no need to go any higher. Certainly not higher than F4 right now. And that was the main reason I think why Boris went F3 in the first place with the Betaflight board. He didn't see there was a need to go any higher. But in terms of speed and reaction speed, of course, the other limiting factor in there is air, is, you know, the aerodynamics of the whole thing. There's a finite speed that we need everything to respond to, and I just don't think we're going to actually need to go into the realms of crazy high processing.
We don't need an
future.
F7.
No, but future proofing. Also, someone like Boris could use it for development testing, and if you don't release it to everyone or you don't push the boundaries, there's room for ideas. I learned something the other day. You know, the Dominic started making the LED code, a new LED code for like programming all your LEDs, and then they used that code and modified it to make D-Shot. There's like loads of little things where they're starting to use and no longer use, and using it for like seeing other ideas from it and things, which I found quite interesting. I need to get Dominic on one of these days, but I worry that Tony's head will explode.
It probably will, but
lizard
it
people.
probably will.
Do you know what I mean? He'll be like, "I'm science here, fucking lizard people thrown out. Stop, you know, spreading isopropanol everywhere and burning the place."
It would be interesting to have Dom on. I might give him a message later and ask him to come on. Maybe we can get him on next week.
I give you his phone number. Annoying people.
I annoy people until they come on.
What is ProShot 1000? No idea. Any idea, guys?
I've not looked into the into ProShot 1000. I've heard of it, but that's probably a question Zero might know. I'll wait and see if he responds to that. He seems to be one of these people that stays right on top of the right on the bleeding edge.
Come on. You're on the spot now in the chat.
Whereas my point of view is, it's like, oh, this quad fly's all right, and then something else comes out, and it's like, well, I'm not going to update it because it's all right. It's kind of like there's back when like the one-shot stuff came out, there was this great big leap from like the PWM stuff to one-shot, and then the loop time went to like 2 kilohertz, and that was good. But it seems like everything since then's been improvements, but little increments, which like you can take it or leave it. It kind of depends. It's kind of like, I suppose, F3 versus F4 versus F7. My F3 board, I can turn everything on and run it fast, and it's like it's up to like 19% utilization. It's like, come on, I need more stuff to run so I can make the CPU do stuff. There's not that much.
Yeah, it's the thing of diminishing returns, isn't it? There's a point at which, you know, that as you say, it's so incremental now. Those steps are, you know, prop wash is getting smaller and smaller, and you know the tunes are getting better straight out the box. Everything's, you know, those every time you double the speed of the ESC, and it's doing exactly as you say. Those little changes are getting smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where we don't then need exponentially more CPU. You know, we're getting to the point where it's just fine where it is. I mean, how much better can the flight characteristics get? I think we're going to approach that point fairly soon.
Well, in the chat, they're talking ProShot has already been superseded by Disco 2000. There you go.
I remember when the disco was an affectionate term for a TBS frame, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Or a middle school dance.
Disco 2000. Yeah, and this ProShot must be one of the 32-bit ESC protocols, perhaps.
I have got no idea. I am so out of the loop. Man, I'm just going through some of your old videos. Like,
we need to get our subscribers on.
Huh?
I need to get some of our subscribers live chat. I know
you need the ESC protocol experts just to explain them and say, why is this better?
What does this do? Why does it make me a better pilot?
What RPGs did you used to play? Oh, look, Paper Mario. I never.
Well,
RPG. Sorry, I'm fascinated. What's your favourite
RPG-wise?
Final Fantasy? Yeah.
I've only ever finished one Final Fantasy game, would you believe? After starting loads of them, I haven't even finished Final Fantasy VII. I've finished Final Fantasy.
I haven't either.
They're too long. They go on and on and on.
Yeah, it's a life commitment. Final Fantasy games, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't, and I have this bad habit, especially with games where I used to like collect so many. It's like I'll start playing something, I get 20 hours, and I was like, oh, this has come along now. And then you try and go back into some RPG, and you can't remember if, like, you know, especially with these Japanese ones, it's like, oh, this hero has now betrayed me, and his dad is now someone else in my past, and I have to time travel back to here to find out some other stuff. But I don't know. So favorite I played lately was on the SNES, because I still have my retro stuff, which was Chrono Trigger. I put like 40 hours into playing that on like an Android tablet with a proper joystick and stuff, and that was really cool.
They're releasing the new mini SNES.
Yes.
So it might be out on that. It might be. I don't know. You'd have to check it out. But I've just put a link in the chat because someone looked at. Do you remember like PS1s? They used to be able to chip them. So now you can flash an Arduino, chip your own PlayStation. So I've gotten a Japanese version of Final Fantasy VII. So I want to be able to play that. I have a clue what's going on. I've got the original version, but yeah, I just thought fun little project to do. So I might record me doing that, being like, "What?" And wishing I had an SNES.
Running it. What PID loop would that be running it?
I don't know. I think it's only 8. You know, is it 16-bit like PlayStation?
The first
PlayStation was 32-bit, wasn't it? It was way ahead of the curve.
Yeah, sorry. Well, yeah, N64 wasn't that 64-bit?
No,
I don't know. I can't remember.
It was supposedly maybe had a 32-bit bus, but could do 2 instructions at a time or something bizarro.
Yeah, 32-bit. Yeah. Yeah, SNES. I can solder you games, Jack. Lol.
So, Carrie Kitten,
cool.
I've got to ask, what's exciting? What's around the corner? What's next for the channel?
I don't know. I've got a bunch of regular reviews. I've always got. I started making a document about when I found ideas. I was like, oh, I must try this. I try and write it down. So my most exciting things for me are perhaps the things that bore other people, which is like, oh, I wonder if I can do this like bizarre little thing, and which I don't want to talk about because it's kind of like, oh, then someone else must steal my idea. But I've got
no, but if you say it here first, then it's a reference for I did it first.
Is it? Well,
you know, the sooner you get it out there and you can record that you've come out with the idea, because no doubt you'll just get to the editing stage and you've done it, and then someone will release it first.
Or someone will say, oh, the people have already done that. So
yeah,
I mean, so something, for example, that I've got the bits to do and I'm trying to get round to it, which other people have already done, is I went to the Entertainer toy store when I was out with my daughter, and we found one of these little polystyrene gliders for like £3. And I'm
the chalk one.
Yeah, and we tested it, and you know, one of the tails fell off, the rudders and stuff. But we're going to convert that to RC and FPV it if we can. And it's like I spent a year thinking about how to do. I did a bottle rocket wing, where we had my old Wing Z84, which is about 800mm, and we 3D printed some bits to put a bottle on it, and then we pressurized it up with a bicycle pump and started launching that. And I managed to do like a sort of 10-second FPV flight through that. That sort of thing's good fun. So I had some other ideas about, could you use like a quad to put someone in, and I will say this is being done safely when we get to do it. Can I put someone in a vehicle, have them drive using FPV goggles of me flying along third person watching them with a quad? Will they crash or will they be able to drive? Because it's a bit like playing Grand Theft Auto. You've used to that overhead sort of viewpoint, so surely it'll be easy.
You know what? There's a great video, if you haven't already seen it, of someone. It was a football game, and everyone
everyone was in a top-down view. It was a top-down thing, and they were just like,
"That's so funny."
going around like this, unable to kick the ball.
I think it was the goalkeeper that was just hanging onto the ground for dear life, just crawling, couldn't handle it at all. It's brilliant. Yeah, that sounds like a good test. So you could, so part of the direction of the channel sounds like a bit sort of like the Colin Firth of RC.
Well, you know, there's always like sort of reviews and flights and stuff like that, but I've always got these little projects sort of bubbling under about let's try that. And I love whenever I try and meet up with friends, especially one of my mates, Crikey, he always comes up with these interesting ideas. Like we're on the south coast, and his thing is like, should we fly to the Isle of Wight and back one day and see if we could do that? Which brings the old like, ooh, do you want to put that on YouTube or not? But it's always an interesting technical test for it, isn't it? Because I'm like, I'm slightly afraid about crashing into the water, and he makes the point about when we fly, because we can find a bit. It's in about like 3-4 kilometers. It's like when we've been out of 3-4 kilometers, we've not crashed before. Therefore, just having water in the way won't make it bad. So yeah, those ideas kind of excite me because it's something a little bit different. I mean, I like doing the reviews and flying the quads and just getting out with friends and doing and stuff. But my own little things that I think about and think, oh, I wonder if we can do this sort of thing and a little bit different, and it will involve me trying to, you know, design something or printing something out on the printer to try and make stuff happen is always different and exciting.
You could so do. I think the only illegal thing that you could do from the Isle of Wight is that you wouldn't be in line of sight on a boat chasing it.
Yeah, we could go with that. Yeah, we were on the boat all the way, no problem.
Yeah, you know, I think that is possible, because there's that. Who was that guy who used to work on a like cruise ship, and he'd like fly around the cruise ship in the day?
Oh, is that Australian?
The flame one.
He hasn't posted anything for ages, is he?
Because he would only post a video for a while. I think he lost heart. Invariably lose his quad into the sea at some point.
Yeah,
but all the footage run out of battery at that point was brilliant, and then it's like
to return to home.
Yeah, I used to watch him. He used to do some really good videos.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun.
What was his name? I can't remember his name.
No way. Tina Stormcaller says there's an airport on the through, so you need to be careful about flying in their space. I landed. So, you know, maybe if you had someone with the CAA license and got permission to do it, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, it'd be nice to do it sort of under the radar. It's kind of, there's a whole bunch of you know, videos I also keep unlisted and just say, hey, look what we did. But
oh, mate, now like please like send me the links, please. It's going to be another Mad Dogs meet.
Not an official one. There are still meets at that field, but the guy that was organising it, Rich, is having real life situations that he's still sorting out for the last couple of years. So there are great Hazley meets, and there was one a couple of weeks ago, in fact, and there's one in August. But it's now only fixed wing, because there was an incident with a phantom in someone's garden who came across and threatened someone with a shotgun.
What?
He didn't actually have it with him, but he said he was going to go and get it. So there was an agreement with the village that there would be no quads there anymore. It's just fixed wing. But yeah, that's great fun to just get together with everybody, trying to chase each other around.
If anyone gets a shotgun out, it's always fun.
It's fair doing.
I mean, phantoms. Yeah, that might be worth a challenge. The quad out the sky, then albeit. Yeah.
250 versus shotgun.
Yeah.
That'd be a good video.
I think 100.
Any news from Dan?
Shotgun.
Has anyone heard from Dan about Fright Night this weekend? Tone, did he post back in the chat?
It's happening tomorrow. Fright Night. I don't know if we're going to go live or as an uploaded thing, but it's going to happen tomorrow. So, if you want to see me cry like a girl.
Yeah, sight camera type out of that quad, because you're going to need that to be able to wander around, because you're not allowed a torch.
Yeah.
Mate, I'm going to call it there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm just going to put a link in the description for any of you that aren't already subbed to Curry Kitten. There's his channel. Go along and give him a sub, and look forward to seeing some exciting projects and bits and pieces soon.
Yeah, and I may even finish that glider eventually.
So don't forget a shirt. Just either naked photo of Tony or an aerial display that will annoy Tony. Do win the shirt. This shirt.
Apologise.
It's a medium.
I have nothing to do with
and
it.
you're not a medium. I will personally get a shirt done for you. Good. There'll be like 2 winners.
If not, you can purchase these for. They were £20. Now they're $15.99.
Well, no, they're £15. Okay, right. Thank you, Curry Kitten. Thank you so much. I hope being on Let's Drone Out wasn't too traumatizing and that you had fun.
I did indeed. I'll get over it. You know,
It was about fun. It's always about fun. We do have to have some comic in there as well, because it's not just drones. We have other people listening in, so we try to make it a bit different. As you can tell, it's not professional.
No. Professional's overrated anyway.
That was cool. Cheers, guys.
Pleasure. Great to have you on.
Tony, what was the dot? It turned out to be a Tony. Last week, Tony saw a dot out the window.
It took ages to get it. It was a balloon. I think someone was 60.
Curry Kitten, please send help. Can't believe I'm.
People are interested though. Keeps coming back. It was real. There was a real thing. It was a 60th birthday.
Right. So yeah. So look forward to Tony crying like a bitch. And don't forget this SD cards.
Friday.
Cool. I'll catch you later, guys. Thank you and good night. Thank you for tuning in to Let's Drone Out.
Peace.